Hi! I'd like to welcome you to the first of my new video reviews for board gaming. Today I'm going to be looking at my latest acquisition, and it's a pretty popular one in our house right now and starting to be in our group. There's a good reason why. We're going to talk about that today. But what game is it? Well, you may know from the title of this video already. It's the Castles of Burgandy. A game by Stefan Feld. It's a really interesting and interactive game. And inside we have the rulebook, which is really well produced as far as the look. It has great instructions, very simple, easy to follow, very clear. This will have you up and running very quickly. The next item is the board, which it's not a large board, however it is a very functional board, and it is also, when you've got the 4 players playing on this, a very busy board with lots and lots of componentry. So it's not something you necessarily want to knock. Hopefully you've got a sturdy table. Here we are with the player mats, the tableaus, which feature the estates which each player is going to get. They're all double-sided. There are 4 basic models, and the rest are all somewhat more randomized. Lots of different possibilities. This can give you a lot of variation in your game. And the last thing is a lot of tokens, and by a lot I mean lots. The needs of the game mean that you really need to bag them up, because the dividing system comes in here. The tray is actually unsuitable to the job. The bags will be very functional though, because you need to randomly pull things out of the bag, so bagging, I suppose, is just one of those common things we gamers are pretty used to, but it would have been nice to have a more functional tray. Here is the board set up for 4 players. It sets up very similarly for 2 or 3 players, and under each of these tokens is a little placeholder with a colour and a number, and that tells you what places to fill depending on how many players you have. Very handy, very quick, simple. It's just a little bit tiresome perhaps with 4 players setting it up each round. Up here we have, or over here we have the player scoring track markers, and then there is the turn initiative order markers. Up here we have the goods stacks, which serve 2 functions. One is to indicate what round the game is in, and the other, when we unpack them, will indicate what goods are available and also what turn we're up to within each round. There are 5 goods in each of those stacks, so that is 5 turns over 5 rounds in each of the 5 rounds. So that means each player will get 25 turns. Over here are bonus tiles, and these are used to give each player a bonus if they are the first or the second player to complete one of the coloured areas of their estate. The other features of the board are a central depot here where tiles may be purchased, and then there are 6 depots around the board there, each indicated by a dice number, and they have 2 functions. One will be to place goods in, and the other is to serve as a marker for these various tiles around the board, which you can use to build on your estate and fill in your board and score points. In addition, each player also has their own board, and this is set up in the following way. They each receive 1 silverling, which is the currency of money, and there are 3 goods they receive randomly, and if there are any duplicates, then they must be stacked up. There are only space for 3 goods, and so that means that the players can only accumulate 3 different types at any one time. When they are sold, there's a place there for storing them. The rest of the board is made up of your initial starting castle, and this can vary in the advanced game into different placements, which makes the game far more interesting. The other thing of note down here is a worker tile. Now the first player receives one, with the other players receiving additional tokens. Each turn works like this. There are 5 rounds, each of 5 turns. So at the start of a round, we unstack one of these piles here and place it down the side here. The starting player, as indicated on the turn order here, rolls a white die, and that die indicates where they take the topmost good from here, and they must put it in one of these 6 numbered depots around here. In this case mine was a 1, so it goes in number 1. Each player then, in their turn, takes 2 coloured die of their colour and rolls them. The scores of the dice are what the turn is focused about, and you have 4 primary decisions and 1 optional decision. The first decision choice is to use the number indicated on the die to take a 6-sided die from the appropriate numbered depot. So in my case I could choose from 5 or 6 and take one of those tiles, and I would place them down in my storage area here on my estate. I can hold up to 3 goods, so I can't accumulate too many before I need to have them placed out. The second option is to use that number to take a good you've got from tile you've got here and to place it onto your estate. Now it must be of the appropriate colour to the area you're going into, and it must also be of the same number. This is not always easy, so we'll get to how to sort that out in a second. The third option is to take one of the dice results, and if you have a good of the same number in your goods collection on your estate here, you may sell that stack of goods. So if I had more than one, I could sell multiple, and you would get some points for it and also some money. So when it's sold, it's turned over like that into that space. The fourth option is I could trade in one of the dice for this turn and score 2 worker tiles, and these are a really good option to enable you to modify your dice and gain awkward placements or to take from different areas around. So for example, I could modify my number 6 and add 1 to it, and instead of claiming from this area I would be able to claim from this area up here. Likewise, I could modify my number 5 to go down to number 4. All very handy things. Or I could utilize them to change the numbers that I need to place a tile here. Or I could use it to modify the dice so that I can sell a good of my choice. These are all very handy things. Now the last thing I can do is I can take money. Now in this game it requires 2 silverlings to purchase from the central depot. The central depot can only be purchased from, you can't take tiles from it any other way, and it enables you to take some of the rarer knowledge tiles, plus it gives you access to different buildings and things which may be already taken by other players. So this is a really great way of gaining almost like an extra turn, but it does require that you generate some money as an income so that you may do things. Now all of the tiles that you place are going to gain you some advantage in some way, shape or form. So on this summary chart, which I have downloaded from some kind person from Board Game Geek, there is a summary of what each one does that you can quickly scan through now. I don't believe that there is any one more or less powerful than another. They're all great, and in combination, various combinations, they can all be absolutely fantastic. The way you utilize your dice to collect these tiles and then to place them, sometimes multiples at once or gaining multiples at once, or there are just so many combinations of things you can do with those 4 possible actions based on the dice roll, plus the purchasing, which essentially adds like another action. Players have a lot of choices, and it's how you utilize these dice in combination with mitigating your luck with the worker tiles that make this game really interesting and fascinating. Scoring is relatively straightforward. Once you complete an area, say if I put a building into this area here, I would complete it because it's only one size and I've placed one tile onto it. I would look at the points on this scale here, and the number indicated in the top left is how big the area is and number of tiles, and the bottom right shows you how many points. So one tile would score me 1 point. If it was 2 tiles, it would score me 3 points, and so on. Obviously the larger areas require a lot more to fill, but you'll be rewarded with a lot of points. So you move your tile, your marker up here up on the points track, but you also receive a bonus. Now the bonus depends on what round you're in. Now if you complete an area in the first round, you're going to get a bigger bonus than if you complete an area in the last round. So you tend to find players focusing on initially filling up some of those small areas to gain the rather large bonus points. If you're the first player to complete an area, you will gain the additional bonus tile for that, and if you're the second player to complete an area, you will do likewise. Now the exception to the regular scoring is with animals. If I was to place, say, an animal tile like this one here, 4 sheep, I would score 4 points. If I was to place an additional animal matching the first one, so in this case I'd add 3 more sheep, I would not score just 3 points, I would score 7 points. This means that animals have this very powerful cumulative effect, especially in larger areas, to score a heck of a lot of points. If you place more than one animal in there, you're not going to necessarily build up the cumulative advantage. So the ideal is to try and fill the area with just one animal type, but it's not important to do so because you can still complete it with multiple animals. It's just you won't get the same advantage as you build up cumulative bonuses essentially each time. At the end of each round, once all of these here have been placed out and everyone's had their turn, at the end of the round each player receives an income based on their mines. So if they have a mine on their estate, they will gain 1 silverling for each mine. And also we clear all of these tiles except for the bonus tiles, including the centre ones we clear, and we replenish them from our bags with more tiles. Scoring is pretty straightforward. We're going to look at our estate. We score for extra money we've accumulated, we score for any workers that we've accumulated. We also score for each unsold good we have left, and any advantage we may have gained from some of the knowledge tiles, such as this one or this one, which would in this case score for 4 points for each watchtower that we had built on our estate. Obviously the victor is the person with the highest points, and this is quite a thrilling part as we try and work out who's got what tiles and advantages, and the lead may change a couple of times. So as you can see, this turn sequence is really amazing. Very, very simple on one hand, with lots of potential on the other. What are you going to do each turn? Who knows? The dice are going to give you choices. You've got to be prepared to mitigate and moderate them, or just figure out the best strategy each turn, each time you roll those dice, as to what things you're going to do, what you're going to take, what you're going to trade, what you're going to score, which areas you're going to build first, what's your priorities, can you perhaps disrupt your opponents by taking something that they look likely to need. This is a fantastic game, and this turn structure is just, I don't know, I don't have another game quite like it, and it scratches for me an itch that nothing else out there does right now. I have one big gripe about this game. I play games and I play them a lot, and if I like them I play them a lot more, and that may be different to some people. This game to me lacks one important thing, and it's production quality. It's been made cheaper and shortcuts taken. These boards are a prime example. Too flimsy until they're laminated. They just will not sustain use. if you're listening, manufacturers, pay attention. You know, I'm a serious gamer. I like something that's going to last me at least long enough till I lose interest in it. In this case, I'm going to be playing this game for a while now. I want this to last longer than it is. Also, the colour matching. Some of the colours. Terrible matches, and in poor light it can be very difficult to tell the difference in the colours of componentry. So in summary, the Castles of Burgandy is a great game. It has a lot of things going for it and a lot of potential for you to try and do things and enjoy yourself. To me, this is one of the best games I've got in my collection. It's been described as a light to medium Euro. I definitely think it's on the medium side. There is a lot of depth and variability in it, and even though it's got a light sort of style of entry which the dice create and the simplicity of that mechanism for the turn structure, I think that this is definitely a medium. The time factor also to me makes it at least a medium. It's not a short quick game, it's not under an hour. Unless you've got the most amazing skills as a group of players. So I think, you know, definitely a medium. The only letdown for me is, of course, that production quality, and what to me would make this a absolutely outstanding game. Just a slight, I don't know. I would rate this game a 9, and that's a really high rating for me. I've don't give 9s out lightly. I've got very few of them. And the only thing that to me downgrades it, being that production quality, I would bring it back to an 8.5. This is a very fun game. This is a game where you're trying to both master your own estate and be competitive with other players to gain certain advantages or bonuses first, to build it as big as you can. And I just find this really interesting every game, because no two games are the same. The other really great thing about this game is it's a good 2-player game, a good 3-player game, and a good 4-player game. I think I enjoy the 4-player game more. Some people say the 2-player, but I actually think I enjoy the 4-player more. I enjoy the slightly greater diversity of resources to draw upon. That doesn't necessarily mean I get any more, but it's just nicer. So definitely give the Castles of Burgandy a try. It's a fantastic game. It's got lots of potential. It's just, I don't know, I'm almost speechless. It is a fantastic game. Give it a go and just be careful with it. Look after those boards and perhaps laminate them, just to give you a bit more durability. So, hope you enjoyed my video, and we'll catch you for the next one. Bye.